Hello, this is Andrew with Missing Remote. Earlier today, Ubiquiti released UniFi Protect NVR firmware version 1.3.15, and the release notes are pretty sparse. But interestingly enough, it's possible that, well, it's likely, I should say, that the issue that I experienced, and I made a video about earlier this morning, where my UNVR became unresponsive, is actually fixed in this version of the NVR firmware, because this issue, the issue that I experienced, wasn't isolated to me. It was actually experienced by a ton of other people. So it's unclear to me whether or not Ubiquiti released 1.3.15 this morning because they knew that this was going to happen, and it was a way to mitigate the issue for all of us. Unfortunately, and this is a general problem with all of Ubiquiti's release notes, they're just not very comprehensive. And I actually mentioned that to UI Glenn when he told me that I should go look at what he wrote over here, where it's this one. The UNVR did not stop working. UniFi OS did. We applied a patch in 1.3.15 that should prevent this in the future. Please restart the UNVR, then everything should be working again. It would be great if instead of us having to experience the issue and then solicit support from Ubiquiti, they would just be upfront in the release notes to say something like the thing I suggested to Glenn was that if they just written, fixed an issue where UniFi OS stopped working, making the UNVR appear responsive up here in the bug fixes or improvements instead of whatever this means. While I didn't know that this had been released when I had the problem, I certainly would have been more eager to install it because it would, address the issue that I experienced. Anyway, so I've been running this since earlier today. I haven't had any issues, and given the stability issues that I experienced with earlier firmware versions, and a ton of other people have experienced with earlier firmware versions, I think it would probably be best to install this right away instead of waiting the usual week to see if more problems were introduced than were solved with the firmware. So anyway, I hope you found that useful. If you did, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or comments, drop them below and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Thanks.